A young woman traveling alone in Thailand is targeted by a dangerous criminal with no one to come to her aid. Admittedly, I'm being intentionally obtuse with the premise here because this one has some early twists that I don't want to spoil. So join us as we discuss Influencer. Welcome everyone to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tim.
Hey everyone, so glad you could tune in. Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 tips for recording a horror movie podcast.
This is indeed a horror movie podcast. I'm horrified after that welcome, but welcome everyone. Today we are going to be talking about Influencer from 2022. Mm-hmm. Why, you might ask? Because Influencers, the aliens to Influencer's Alien, is out. Well, it came out in 2025, and we want to do that before we get to our top 10, which will be coming the week after. So we had to watch the first one, because we're not savages. We are civilized human beings who will watch the movies in the correct order. So that's what we're here to do today.
Correct.
Also, Tim, why did I think this was a foreign movie? I went into this thinking it was going to be subtitled for some reason.
Oh, I can answer that. Because you're dumb.
I want everyone to know we took a week off from recording, and it feels like Tim's a little pent up, like he's not had a chance to insult me in like an extra week, and it's like he's ready to fire on all cylinders.
Yeah, I just had to insult my family for a week. It was awful.
I mean, after a while, the kids just start crying. Yeah. It's not fun anymore. They don't understand what's happening. Dear. So anyway, Influencer is a movie about a woman who travels around, and as the title would suggest, she is taking photographs of herself, talking about what it's like to travel and meet people. She's got sponsorships from makeup brands and things like that, and maybe meets a dangerous person. And I will just leave it there. I think we'll save as much as possible for spoilers' sake. But we will start spoiler free, of course, as we always do. We'll give you a warning before we get into spoilers. And if you're enjoying the show on YouTube, hit the like button. It helps out a bunch if you do. And of course, you can support us over at Patreon and get some bonuses. But I'll tell you more about that at the end of the episode. So I always ask how you feel first, so I'll do that. I will say I kind of don't want to spoil though. Like, after like the first 20 minutes, it kind of makes a choice, like a pivot, if you will. And I kind of don't want to spoil what that choice is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, of course. This will probably be maybe a slight shorter spoil-free section, because, there's a lot of... It's kind of hard to get into a lot of stuff without, giving away some plot stuff.
And maybe it's because, maybe most people have seen a trailer, and I never saw the trailer. I went in completely blind, and so maybe most people go in knowing what I think I'm considering a spoiler here. But I feel like, for the sake of just keeping this,
right? Yeah,
I would just. So anyway, with all that in mind, Tim, what did you think of Influencer?
So I actually quite enjoy this. I've seen it before. I forget if I watched it right when it came out, but I do remember having seen it, and so of course this is it's on Shudder. I don't know if it was like a something that Shudder made or just something that they acquired, but I kind of I consider it like a Shudder movie. Which
I have a question though. Does Shudder actually make anything? I thought everything they have is just stuff they kind of. I mean, I could be wrong, but I thought that was all of it.
Well, I mean, there's definitely stuff that you watch on Shudder that will have the Shudder logo and stuff in front of it, they produce it or whatever. But so I don't know. I feel like there's a difference between okay, this is something that someone is just throwing up on Shudder versus this is something that they help produce or whatever. Well,
I guess what I mean is is this something that's made independently and then Shudder acquired for distribution? Because that would get the logo at the start, because this one had Shudder at the start, which is what I assume what it meant. But I wasn't sure if Shudder actually greenlight projects and fund them from scratch, or if they just distribute them.
I mean, I feel like they do. I mean, I'm just totally guessing here.
I've got a feeling.
It's like
and my gut.
because I mean, it's a streaming service like every other, one out there. They try to make their own original content. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell, like, if this is something that was pretty much already made and then they just threw some money behind it, or if someone was actually like looking at the script and greenlighting stuff. I'm not sure, but the point of it is like, I do think of this as like a Shudder movie, which sometimes aren't always the best. Like I do always pay attention whenever Shudder talks about like oh, we have an original new movie coming out or whatever we're throwing up, and then I don't always check them out, but I'll always like look and at least give it a shot or watch a trailer or something or read about it. And I don't know if I was super excited when this came out. Like I feel like we've already had some horror movies that are like about influencers or that kind of like annoying online persona person thing.
Podcasters, blah.
Yeah, no more of that, please. So and influencers, I mean, no offense to anyone that I guess likes watching influencing videos or whatever, but I figure they tend to be kind of annoying, and I don't know if I am excited about the idea of watching a whole movie, centered around someone. But I feel like this one had gotten some good buzz around the time, and I'd seen some people saying, it is worth checking out. And then I remember watching it and, fairly quickly kind of getting sucked up into it. And I think a big part of it is I feel like it's directed really well. I think it looks really good. I'm assuming this was, all mostly, or if not all, shot on location. Like it takes place in, I believe it's Thailand.
Thailand, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
It's shot on location, something like, I mean, I assume that at least the stuff in Bangkok is actually in Bangkok, and then the rest of the stuff, it may not technically be Thailand, but they're shooting somewhere that looks close enough. Like they're in somewhere tropical. The climate looks right. I mean, to my layman's eye, at the very least.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like they're in the middle of Surrey in England, I guess is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. But no, I think it looks quite good. It's shot well, and then it's hard to go into too many details again because there's a lot of stuff that happens throughout the story, and like you said, I don't really want to spoil any of it, but I enjoyed where it went, and seeing how characters react to certain things and whatnot, and then there's like some good stuff in the ending. So I actually think this is like a pretty like cool, solidly well done flick. And I don't want to go too much into how I feel about the sequel, which I did see influencers as well, which if it if it was just this movie, like you were saying earlier, like there probably wouldn't be much need to go back and redo this, but I am really excited to talk about influencers as well, and I think that'll be interesting discussion to have, especially amidst when we're doing like our best of the 2025. So again, I want to go into too much about that here, but I'm glad we're doing this because I think it'll be interesting to knock this out, but then also talk about the sequel there.
I mean, it's always worth going back and doing anything that's worth watching, right? So like obviously
Sure.
we often find it hard though to go back and do a movie from like 2 years ago if it missed the boat when it was the relevant year, just because we want to go back and do older stuff when we have a chance to do something classic. And if anything, I want to find more time to do classic movies than we actually find. But I didn't really know what to expect from this other than the title giving away a character trait effectively, or their occupation at the very least. And I think the opening like 15-20 minutes, because there's kind of a late not even just title drop, but even just the opening titles take place a good 20 minutes out of the movie, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like, this was actually all just the prologue, and then the real movie starts here. And I think the movie does get a lot better once that happened. Not that I hated the first 20 minutes, it's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just, it's not really doing much in terms of being a horror movie yet. It's not really doing much, and it's doing all the influencer stuff that you might find annoying is definitely in those first 20 minutes. But like I was alluding to earlier, there's kind of a choice, right? When it gets to that opening title, there's a choice the movie gets to make, right? As if the movie's a sentient being that's, but the director, the writer, people writing the script, right? Like, I thought, the movie's going to follow this path, and this is what the rest of the movie's going to be about. And I was like, really? Is that what we're doing? Oh, that sounds... I don't know if I want to watch that, honestly. But the movie didn't make that choice. It made this other choice. And I went, this is far more interesting than the thing that I thought they were about to do. And because of that, I started getting really into it. The lead character, I think, is very good, is very compelling. I enjoyed her performance.
Well, leave it at that.
Yeah, you know what I mean, Tim. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed all that stuff and the rest of the movie in the back. Not even the back half, but the back, hour and 10 minutes of it, which was the bulk of it. So I think all that is super compelling, and it has... Again, I can't even really compare it to anything without giving away kind of the focus of the movie, but I think it becomes a lot more compelling once it takes that pivot, because before that, it's almost kind of like we're following someone who's in a foreign country, and maybe someone's trying to trick them. It could be the start of Dangerous Animals or anything like that, where it's like, hey, friendly local feels that they might be setting you up for something here, and like we're sort of biding our time until the shoe drops, right? Until we get the reveal of what the danger is. And again, it's not terrible at that by any stretch, but it's after that point where this movie has some other ideas to play with, and it's kind of even turning some influencer ideas on their head with the way it goes about the rest of its story. So, I quite liked it. I was quite into it. I will say so. Yeah.
And now, just curious, had you... I know you didn't know, much plot-wise, but had you heard anything about people talking about, this is good, you should check it out, or anything? Or...
Honestly, I don't think so. I think I might have seen, the poster for the second one, just showing up here or there. But other than that, no.
Because I do feel like... and I don't know if the second one now, if maybe, these will be getting, a little bit of a bump or something, because I feel like the people that do watch it all kind of have a similar reaction where it's like, this was a nice little surprise. But yeah, I don't think it's necessarily fully caught on yet. And I wonder if maybe in time a little bit, more people will discover it or something. Because yeah, I wouldn't say I've seen a ton of people talking about it, but just the usual kind of horror people you follow on social media or websites or whatever, they when it came out, they'll be this is worth checking out and stuff, but it's not something that seems like everyone's talking about. But yeah, I think a good way to kind of describe it is it is a nice kind of surprise. You could easily see the more boring or generic version of this type of movie, and like you're saying, that first 20 minutes, while it's not bad, if the whole movie was just kind of like that, I don't think this would be something that would necessarily be worth discussing that much. While it still might be okay, it wouldn't be much to it, but the choices it makes are all I think really good and compelling and keeps you on your toes, and it's pretty fun. So yeah, it's again, I'm glad that we're going back and doing this, because I think it's a cool little movie.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know what else to say really before we get to spoilers. I guess the music's kind of a big thing in here. There's a lot of sort of techno, sort of dancey sort of stuff at various points, but also occasionally something a little bit more tense comes in. But it's it's not exactly got main themes or anything like that, but it does kind of make it a part of its identity, where there's this kind of thumping occasionally or whatever. Again, it kind of plays into the whole influencer thing, where it starts off sounding very influencer, but then has a darker take on it later on.
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be necessarily the kind of music I enjoy or whatever, but I think it fits the movie well, because like you're saying, when you think of influencer stuff, it is a lot of that more kind of dancey techno kind of music or whatever. So yeah, when they are playing scenes that are kind of fitting into that, the music accompanies it pretty well. So it all fits together.
Yep, I didn't realize that was the end of the sentence. Yeah, no, it's good. So I think we have to go spoilers. I think we have to go spoilers so we can actually talk about it properly.
Let's do it.
Which I get is a little frustrating. You want maybe a bit more of a sense of what to expect here. But spoilers for Influencer, you have been warned. So, all right, well, let's just say what the movie actually is before we get any further, okay?
Sure.
Right, so after the first 20 minutes, we're following this Madison, this influencer. She's the girly girl. She's doing this and that. No, she ain't the main character.
She's doing kind of, she's kind of doing like a travel blog or
kind of, yeah. There's some backstories to why she's there alone, and we'll get into that. But she's not the main character. The main character is the person she befriends. CW is the name we get for her, which I assume is meant to mean content warning, because you put that when you're like going to like do something like bad or talk about a serious subject. You might say trigger warning as well, to be fair, but you say content warning if like, oh, you're going to see something nasty or something you might not want to see. I
didn't even put that together. So that's pretty good.
It's either that or she's a big fan of the TV network. I mean, one of the two.
Sure.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't expect it's her real name. I mean, what is CW? Right. So probably not. But it's probably not even her real initials. But it's, you know, it sets us up. But anyway, once we set up she lures Madison out to an island and leaves her there to starve to death, because she's going to then steal her account, steal all of her cars and use her money until it runs out or her credit runs out, and then she'll move on to a new victim. She's our predator. She's our Patrick Bateman, and that's kind of what the movie is. Not that it's like... You know, it's not like we're questioning reality or anything, but we're following the villain. We're following the villain plot out their next move and try and not get caught. That's what this movie is. We're following that. On you go, Tim.
Yeah, it's a nice little turn, because, it's not necessarily about an influencer. It's about someone who like preys on influencers, which is much more interesting. Which
honestly made it really tough not to root for her. I'm not gonna lie.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, one, she's the more compelling character, right? So I was really glad when she turned out to be the main character, even because the opening 20 minutes does not set it up that way. It's very much Madison's the main character, and it does the pivot. I
guess, to be fair, I would say, out of everyone, like, Madison is probably a bit more sympathetic, but then the other two characters, like her boyfriend, and then I forget whoever the new influencer she's talking to throughout the movie, like
Jessica.
Those you can just go ahead and like put on an island. Like, we don't need them.
Ryan's super unlikable. The boyfriend is like a complete douche the second you meet him. And Jessica's just a kind of very typical influencer for the most part. It's funny because she seemed familiar, actually, the actress who played CW. Cassandra Naud is the actress. Now, I looked her up to see if I've seen her in anything before, and we have. She was in It's a Wonderful Knife. I was trying to remember the title there. That Christmassy horror gimmicky movie. So we did see her on one thing a few years ago. It probably wasn't that far away from when this came out, actually, because that was about 2022-ish, give or take, I think.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah. So I've seen her something before, but here she gets to be the lead, and I think she's great. I think she's compelling. I was enjoying watching her as, I guess we'll call her the femme fatale, where she's, stalking. Yeah, because when she gets to the second influencer, like her next victim that she's stalking through Bangkok and trying to like come up with what her new plan of attack is, how she's going to befriend her and get her trust so she can do whatever. Like, she puts on a completely different character. She's putting on like this happy, girly kind of like, oh, hey, Jessica, I'm such a huge fan. And like, it's all very bubbly, which is totally different from the way she approached Madison in the first 20 minutes. So, yeah, very compelling.
I think there's two things that are really fun about her. So one, like you mentioned, like, seeing her change like those personalities and how she's going to like attack like, her different victims is really fun. But then also it's really fun to like see like what happens like when things start to go wrong, and how like she has to like pivot with some things. Like, she gets so annoyed when Ryan shows up because he's not like supposed to be there. But he's very douchey. He's like kind of like stalking Madison, who he doesn't realize it, but like she what CW as posing as Madison like dumps him, but like he's still trying to like follower and stuff. And then I liked all those moments when you can see like the frustration in her when stuff isn't going her way. Yeah, like I just think that stuff is a lot of fun.
Yeah, like I say, it's very femme fatale. It's her trying to think of her way out of situations and cover up the lies. There was a little bit of I don't know if you've ever seen The Last Seduction.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, not a horror movie. Just a sort of erotic
But,
thriller, basically. Sure. With what's her name? Linda Fiorentino, I think her name is. But like, it's very much her plotting and using her sexy ways to like manipulate people, and like, she's plotting and whatnot. Whereas this is very much more like, a horror movie. One, because of how she kind of starts to like, go after other people, and there's kind of like a pattern to like going after more victims, but also because it does escalate throughout the movie. Like, it's not a movie with a high body count, and it's not a movie with even like a lot of kills in it of any kind. But there is one particularly notable one that I really liked. Like, that shoe kill, I'm going to remember the build up to that for some time, I think.
Yeah. I winced a little bit during it. It's very effective in making you kind of squeamish.
Yeah, and I think, this whole pivot of like, she preys on influencers because they're traveling in foreign countries, so they don't have as much of a safety net. That she finds ones that are traveling by themselves, so there's no one to notice them going missing for a while. And then the fact that she also pretends to be them for a while, like still posting stuff to make it look like they're still active for a few weeks. Like, it's like, oh, there's a reason why you've picked this type of person to go after. And then there's the implication that maybe she also does get something out of like pretending to be them for a while, because like, oh, everyone's liking my post and saying nice things to me. Like the vapid side of being an influencer, but the ego boost comes in, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is why I also really like that thing you brought up about the boyfriend Ryan. This idea that he's kind of stalking his like girlfriend. And that's why like he shows up unplanned, and it's almost like these two polar extremes like meeting, with CW being this like stalker killer character, and it's almost like yeah, but he's also kind of a stalkery boyfriend, so it's like, it's almost like let them fight, like go for it, like, fight away,
right, yeah. yeah, like you were saying earlier, like like CW is the bad guy, but at the same time you're not rooting for Ryan, like like I guess maybe it'd be nice if he finds Madison or something, but yeah, I think everyone's okay with him like just dying off.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, I think maybe towards the end they want you to root for him a little bit as he's starting to actually piece things together, but even then I was kind of like, I kind of want to see her get away with it. I want to see her I want to see how she figures her way out of it, is what I want to see. That's what I was looking forward to.
I think one of the things that's really satisfying about this movie is everyone just acts like pretty intelligently, like, and not even saying like, like Ryan or Jessica, that they're like, they seem super smart or whatever, but there's like constantly talking about like, kind of having like warning signs, and when CW is like, she does a lot of stuff that is like weird and creepy, but it doesn't feel like a movie where they are like, oh, I'm just gonna go along with this, or like, huh, that's weird, oh well, I'm not gonna pay attention to it. Like, they're like, they pretty much do the right thing, when they're like, you know what, this is weird, and you said some stuff that's not adding up, and I'm just gonna get out of this situation. Like, they like, they actually do the right thing. And same with CW, like, she doesn't feel like sloppy or anything. Like you said, like, it seems like she puts like so much work into, the posts, and then like, she's obviously very like tech savvy, like all the stuff she does to manipulate, like the videos and things that she's posting. Like, it's just nice to watch, like, a movie where you're not screaming at characters going like, like, why aren't you running away or doing this? You know what I mean? Like, it's satisfying.
Yeah, and it's actually a great detail. So one thing we've not mentioned about CW is that she has a big birthmark, right? And this is a real thing, because when I was curious when the movie started and I saw her, I was like, oh, is this a real birthmark, or is this something they added? And no, the actress has this, like, it's in every photo of her. So what's really neat about this is that she kind of like has this built-in excuse that people have to accept when she says, I don't feel comfortable getting photographed. But later on, it's like, no, that's tactical. She's making sure that she's not in any of the photographs so that there's no evidence of her existing for any future investigation. And it's a big deal when Ryan like sneakily gets a photo of her and tags her in it, and she's like, wait a minute, like, and there's a whole plot point about her getting the phone so she can delete the post so that there's no trace of her. But I like that she uses her birthmark to kind of like as because it's like, because when she shies away and goes, oh no, I don't like to be on camera, Madison says, yeah, okay, fair enough. Like, she doesn't argue with her because she has like it's not that weird for someone to say that anyway, but because she has this birthmark, it's almost like I cannot push it, I cannot like try and prod her, I have to leave her alone. And it's like, oh, that's smart. It's built into the character well. I don't know if it was written with her in mind or what, but either way, it's used quite well in the small couple of ways that it is used.
No, absolutely. Like it really works for the character. And again, I am also intrigued if like that was something that was just written into the script and had her in mind, or if they just lucked out and found someone that really fit that, and that's something that they could add to the movie. But no, that's really great. And then it also I feel like works too because like like I think they I forget who was it, but like they mentioned some lines about like oh no, like you could really like like rack up some views and stuff, and like I think they're trying to like allude like about like, oh, like people would really like to like see someone like you and have like body positivity and stuff, and like and you can kind of get the feeling like that's another thing that's like can help her like getting close to these people, because you could kind of like envision these influencer people like wanting to use her as someone to be like, oh look, I have like my friend who's maybe not as confident as me, and like let's like boost her up or whatever. Like you can see the kind of like thing that they might want to like talk about or post about or whatever. So that it feels like another thing that like she can use to her advantage.
Look at how amazing I am for being so kind to someone with the smallest bit of which is, it's wild though, because she's still clearly super hot. Like it's not like this birthmark changes a goddamn thing. She's a very attractive woman, but it's used smartly, and it also thematically I think works in the sense of this idea of like, because it's Ryan that's saying all that, by the way, that you were bringing up. But of course it's Ryan. He's the one who's like, oh, you're unique. People like unique. You can make money.
That's what it was. Talking about unique.
I could help you make money. Blah blah blah. So it's obviously he wants to use her. But there was also an interesting thought I had there, where it's kind of like, if you look at the movie as a whole, what she's doing, this idea of like, she lives vicariously through these people that she's like taken down, and using their success and their followings to get something out of it, but never showing herself. So maybe in some way you could say that there is like still an element of, oh, she would rather hide and do it this way than show herself. I mean, she literally, as part of the plot, is like pretending to be Madison, wearing a blonde wig, but then digitally putting Madison's face onto her face to hide her face. Like that's like literally something she does in the course of this movie, which is actually the other way the birthmark comes up, is that because it's also in video, she's actually like mocapping it to her face. Like eventually Ryan is looking really closely, and there's like a flicker between the frames where you can see the birthmark, and that's how he kind of puts some of it together towards the end. So again, really good visual cue that you could instantly get. So I thought that was neat as well. But anyway, let's rewind a little bit. Let's go back to the start of the movie and see how some of this plays out, because the opening, it's like, hey, she's doing her post, she's Madison's talking to her followers, we see she's doing the makeup and stuff, and she's talking to her friend. We find out that she was supposed to come here with her boyfriend, but her boyfriend had to bail for a reason of some kind. We never even really find out what it was, and that's kind of it. She's lonely.
Once we get to know Ryan, it's like, okay, I can totally see him bailing.
Oh, totally, yeah. Which is why, like, later on, when there's like a flashback to like the first time he met her, and it's meant to be this sweet first date, I'm like, no, you're a douchebag. I can't get on board with this at all. No. Oh dear. So we see CW like sort of getting out the pool at one point at this resort that she's staying at, but just makes a bit of eye contact. That's all it is. But then when she's in the bar area, and this older British guy kind of starts talking to her, and like, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he was actually trying to hit on her. I think he was just trying to be an old friendly dude. I could be wrong. Maybe he's a creep deep down. I don't know. But CW interjects and says, "Take a hint, dude," and kind of like almost positions it like she's there to defend her and like protect her from the creepy old guy. And that's kind of what gets her into her inner circle of, of two people, of her and CW, of this friendship that will now form, because, hey, I know the area, I can show you places in town, we can go do that, blah, 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 bit of a montage, I'll cheer you up when you're sad because you're missing your boyfriend, let's go dance with these two guys, all happy days until they get home, or back to the resort, and admittedly, I'm going to critique Madison here a little bit. Tim, if you're on holiday in another country, is there any reason why you would ever not keep your passport on you?
I mean, very good point. Yeah, no, I'd probably, similar to, if I go out anywhere, I'm taking my wallet.
Yes.
Same thing, if you're traveling, I'm going to have my passport with me.
That passport is like equal to like your like debit and credit cards in your wallet, right? Like when you're away in another country, it's so important. But when she gets back, the place has been broken into and it's gone. They never really answer how CW pulled this off, because she was with her when they went out to town. So I was like, I was thinking for half the movie she had an accomplice or something, and it never came up. So I don't know, like maybe the implication is she just, snuck away while she was dancing with the guys and did this, and just Madison was just so drunk and never noticed she was missing for like 20 minutes or something like that. I don't know. But regardless, that's that. She's trapped here for a few more weeks because she has to get a new passport from the embassy, blah, 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 blah. But CW's like, hey, my place, I've got a place here in Thailand. You can come stay with me. I'll show you the sights. It'll be fun. Cue another montage. And I'm like, okay. And I hadn't even really noticed that we didn't get, because sometimes you don't get opening titles. You don't always get opening titles. Sometimes you just save them for the end. But her whole plan is to take her out to this little island. She's got a little boat, and she takes her out to this deserted island. And up until this point, other than the fact that, okay, maybe someone's intentionally setting something up with stealing the passport, there's not really been a single hint it's a horror movie, right? Up until now, It's just been this holiday stuff, befriending this person, that's all it is. And then they're sitting at the campfire, spending the night in this beach in this little island. And Madison's like, hey, I've not been in front of a fire since I was in, the Girl Scouts or whatever. We used to tell scary stories. Oh, I mean, if I was telling a scary story, I'd tell everyone that, you'd brought me here to murder me. And, the camera gets all tight and it's dark around their faces and all that. And it's really getting spooky. And then CW responds with, oh, I didn't bring you here to murder you, but I am going to leave you. You're going to wake up tomorrow alone and there's no one here and there'll be nothing to eat. You're surrounded by water, but you can't drink any of that because it's the ocean. You'll probably last like 3 or 4 days. And there's an awkward silence, and then she sort of laughs, and it's just like, oh, she was telling a joke. And I'm sitting thinking, oh, maybe this is the premise of the movie, is that Madison is going to be left to survive on this island, like, for the movie. We're going to do like a sort of weird Castaway style, like a horror Castaway. Yeah. And I thought, okay, I guess that sounds okay, but like, I was actually not like super enthusiastic about it. And then, it cuts to the next morning and CW is sneaking away. She grabs Madison's bag, Madison's sleeping next to the campfire, and she gets on the boat, and then the pulsing music starts, and it's, comes up saying, so-and-so presents this, film by this dude, blah, blah, blah. Influencer. I was like, okay, that's, and I was thinking, this is a weird title drop. This is so late into the movie. But it became clear why it's so late, though, because then we follow CW, and we follow her back to, the resort, and then to her place, and then she's like pretending to be Madison, and it's like, oh, that's why the title drop was so late, because this is about her, and we were kind of almost trying to like give you a giant red herring that Madison was the main character. No, it's her, and we get to see her do all of her stuff to make everyone think that she's still around. So, I don't know, I had fun with, even before she started looking for another victim, I was already enjoying like her pretending to be Madison, and I was wondering how far that was going to go. But
yeah, I know. I mean, this stuff is all great. I think it is a nice little, like, kick in the pants where, again, you kind of think the movie is, steering in this one direction, and then it kind of hits you, and it's like, oh no, okay, and then, yeah, it's like you're just so much more invested and intrigued by what's going on, and then yeah, it's interesting because like, okay, like, I guess it's not about the influencer I thought, because like CW, she like, I guess you could say like, oh, like she's influencing these people to, basically like befriend her and give her what she wants. So like she's, like I guess, she's just another type of an influencer or whatever, which is like really interesting. But yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Like this stuff is like this little number, like once it starts to pivot and everything is just really great.
And I think what's so exciting about it is that once she's going to like make Madison's like credit limit bigger, she's obviously spending that money in this big house that she moves into, so on and so on. Once like she's done it for like I think it's like 3 weeks later, right? That was the moment I got excited actually, is when it skipped 3 weeks later and we started just immediately going to follow CW. I was like, oh, we're following her, and we're not even going to follow the plot of Madison trying to survive in the island. And don't get me wrong, I kind of expected there to be a reveal later on that she somehow survived and that she was still around. I thought that was kind of obvious that we're going to do that, but and I'm okay with that. But I didn't have to watch it. I didn't have to watch her scavenge and like fight I don't know, an animal for a coconut or something, like whatever was going on in the island,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to skip too far ahead, but I will say I did enjoy the ending when we go back to it.
Oh, sure. That said, though, I was like halfway through the movie, I was like, man, I'm liking CW as a character so much. And I think one of the things that I love so much about it is that once she does decide that she needs a new victim and she's looking for social media influencers who happen to be in Thailand, and she finds Jessica, who's on her own, doing a lot of the same stuff that Madison was doing, trying different food, clearly just being by herself. And we see her actually go to Bangkok, and she's actually like watching her in a bar or whatever it is, or a restaurant, and she gets in one of the little taxis and she's like following her. I loved that we were seeing another hunt, but this time we were in on it, and it made it feel so different from that first 20 minutes where we didn't know it was a hunt. We didn't know she was the villain who was trying to lure Madison into a trap. I love that we got to see it the other way around this time, where it's like, no, now we're with her, and we get to feel tense as she's trying different things to make Jessica like her. Like get into the shop and saying, hey, that's a fake. That's the first thing she does. Or trying to pretend to run into her at the hotel afterwards to try and then befriend her there. It's like, oh, this is such a different vibe from before, because now we know. Now the audience is in on the scheme, and we get to enjoy it from that perspective, which was, I think, a nice flip around.
Yeah, and like you're saying before with that first scene where she meets up like Madison with that like guy at the bar, like, I mean, that scene is fine on its own, but then I love having it like, recontextualized, with like here, because like you're saying before, like, this is a different prey, like she has to change her tactics, and so it's just so interesting to see her approaching something from a completely different angle and having to be like a completely different character. And then again, I think it's interesting when like, some of the stuff she does like doesn't really work. Like you're saying, she tries to go up to her and it's like, oh, like you don't want to buy that statue, like that's fake, and then like but it doesn't really work on like Jessica. She's like, I know, this is just like for my friend, like thanks. So it's this stuff is all really like interesting and compelling. You're
right about it recontextualizing that scene in the bar where she first talks to Madison as well, because you realize in hindsight, knowing what you know now, that she basically created a problem that didn't exist to like, she came in and saved her from the creepy guy who was talking to her in the bar. But Madison herself right after even said, oh, that guy was harmless. There was nothing wrong with him. Like he was, I wasn't liking him talking to me, but he was harmless. And she kind of sort of justifies it by saying, oh, it seems that way at first, but wait until he's had a few more drinks and you'll see the real monster come out. I mean, one, it's foreshadowing about CW, because we'll see the real monster come out of her later. But it's really just her trying to create a thing to make her look like she's the hero so that she'll be the new friend. So, and you realize that in hindsight, and once you know what her tactics are like, and you can see how she manipulated it to try and make it look that way. So
yeah, and it's interesting because she's doing the exact same thing here. Like she's trying to create a problem where there doesn't really need to be one, where she's like, oh, you don't want to buy that thing, and the person's like, no, I do. Like like I already know, like what it is and stuff. Like you don't have to, like try to convince me or show me a different place or whatever.
Yeah, and I think one of the worries I had, maybe not right this early, but maybe a bit later, I was starting to worry. I was like, you know what? Like I'm kind of liking this movie now, but a big part of it's CW, so I really hope she ain't going to die at the end of this movie, because I really want her to be in the sequel. So I must confess that when I had that thought, I immediately just looked at the cast for the second one just to make sure she was in it and went, okay, no, I'll rest easy, it's fine. So I minor spoilered myself, but only because I was like, no, she is this movie. Like if you take her away, this movie's not this movie anymore. And that's, how I was feeling. So, yeah. So, I mean, from there, she tries a different tactic to befriend Jessica. And it goes well enough where they're kind of bonding. She's acting all bubbly to get her. And that's why I was saying her name, like the name Jessica weird earlier, is because I love that moment where she was hanging out with her, but Jessica had to go do something for a while. And she said, hey, when I get back tonight, I'll message you and we can go do something. CW like uses that time to break into her hotel room with the key card she stole and ruffle around and whatnot. But I love when she's waiting outside, like sort of in the shadows. She's just off in the corner smoking somewhere, but she sees Jessica come back and she's sort of looking down at the phone, waiting for it to ring. I like that moment for one because I thought, oh man, how is she going to react if she lied and she doesn't call her? Like, how is she going to deal with that? But she does call her eventually. And when she does, I just love the way that the serious waiting face turned into the Jessica. It really became that like almost bubbly California type of accent, and it was just kind of like, okay, all right, I'm enjoying the performance that's happening here.
Yeah, because kind of the way she befriends Jessica is like she has to pretend to be a fan and someone that like she is following. Which again is interesting, like compared to Madison, where it was more of like, hey, like let me be like your new travel friend and show you all the secret hidden places and stuff. But then like, yeah, she knows that's not going to work with Jessica. Instead, she has to pivot to being like, oh, I'm like gonna shower you with praise and talk about how amazing you are and how lucky I am to be following you and stuff. And really interesting, like to see the contrast and. Yeah, again, how she has to kind of like pivot and make these changes. Yeah,
it has to stroke the ego a little bit, but I mean, basically the whole movie's gonna like be wary of parasocial relationships. This is when parasocial relationships go wrong. But yeah, she everything's going well, and she even convinces her, hey, I've got a place you could come stay at. It's like, okay, she's luring her in. At this point, it's going to start to feel more and more like what she did to Madison. But the big surprise here that throws a wrench in her plans is when they get back to her place. This is a place that she's gotten on Madison's credit card. Is Ryan has shown up. And Ryan, the one scene we got of him earlier is when Madison called him to tell him that her passport had been stolen and she wasn't going to be back for at least a few weeks now. And he just immediately gaslit her and said, oh, this is so you. What did you do wrong? This is on you. And it was like, how is this on her? I mean, okay, I know I critiqued her leaving her passport in her room. I do think that's a stupid move. But aside from that, like, how could... Like, he just completely tries to blame her for it. And when she says, I want to break up, he's like, call me in the morning when you've calmed down. Like, you're being hysterical. You're a hysterical woman. What are you doing?
I love, like, it's not even like, whoa, let's talk about this. It's like, he doesn't even acknowledge that, like, it's happening. It's like, no, you don't really mean it. Just call me later.
Yeah. So he's the worst. He is an absolute douchebag. Yeah. But he shows up here and he had like a whole romantic meal plan because he thought Madison would be showing up. And it's kind of awkward because this is what you were getting at earlier, is that immediately some of CW's like statements start to not add up because she said this is her place. But immediately Ryan's like, no, this is Madison's name, and I'm the one that's basically paying for all her stuff right now, so I'm not leaving. So that he ends up becoming a roommate for a little while, and that doesn't track with what she said to Jessica, where she said all these things about this being her place and so on and so on. So very quickly it adds up.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they I don't think they went into super details about not their like relationship, but like their working relationship. Like I kind of got the sense that he's maybe like a brand manager or something
like that,
her. Yeah. Like so it's I guess it would kind of make sense that he might have access to her, like especially if she has like maybe like a I mean, I guess she's not really like a company, but if she does have like a work expense card or something, maybe he has access to it. But I mean, but otherwise, like I do like, that CW calls him out for being like, oh, you're tracking her purchases. Like, that's pretty creepy, dude.
It's a good point. It's a very good point. It doesn't feel like something he's supposed to be doing, but he has been doing it anyway. And that's where we are. And I do love that as soon as like the next day comes and everything's kind of awkward with the three of them around, the second that Jessica and Ryan get a chance to talk, right? Like immediately everything starts falling apart in terms of the story.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wait, so you were with this other Madison? Who is she? And she's like, oh yeah, she's my girlfriend, and she was traveling here, and she's, it's been kind of weird. No one's seen her in a couple of weeks. Like, just immediately everything starts to feel a bit weird. So I really liked it. Yeah, when they're out that night and like these feelings have bubbled up, Jessica tries to sneak back to the house to leave and go to a hotel without CW. CW just happens to see her leave and sort of follows her back, which leads to the confrontation. But she tried to do the right thing, like you said. Like, she tries to just skedaddle. And when CW catches her and confronts her and says, oh, you don't have to go, blah, 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 she's like, look, I'm just going to be honest. This doesn't feel quite right. Something's weird here. I would just feel more comfortable at a hotel. She's very honest, right? Without saying anything too, like, accusational. She just says, I'd feel more comfortable at a hotel. I don't want to be here. And obviously, it escalates from there. But, like, she does try and do everything basically correct up until the point where she makes her snap. And then, obviously, from then, it's, like, lights out. So
yeah. Yeah, like, she's trying to be very cordial at first, and then, like, CW is so persistent that eventually she kind of has to be like, all right, listen, like, I'm sorry, but you're being really weird, and stuff isn't adding up, and you're kind of being creepy right now, like...
And that's the trigger. Saying she's being creepy is what makes her just grab her and throw her head into the wall, and then she's crawling, like, disorientated with blood dripping down her head.
Yeah, and like you said before, like, yeah, there's not a lot of, like, gore or, like, death or whatever in this movie. So when there is violence, like this part, it feels really visceral. And I mean, like just smashing the head is already like pretty like, intense and violent. But then, like you said, this is leading up to the, high heel thing.
Yeah, it's very like like almost like erotically dominating, like the way she kind of like has her like foot over her neck and just sort of like places the heel on her neck. And you're thinking, and I was thinking, she's going to just sort of slowly press it down more and more. But no, she lifts her leg up and then just goes, stomps it down. You don't see it on camera, but the implication being she's literally stabbed her neck with her heel. It had a lot of weight behind it, and I got the impression, I could be wrong, but my impression is this is the first time she's actively killed someone. Like, she's left people on an island to die, which is still killing them, don't get me wrong, but this is the first time she's just straight up like physically killed someone directly.
She seems like someone who maybe doesn't want to get her hands dirty, but if it comes to that, she will. But I get the sense that she's usually a bit more like plotting and sinister about it, as opposed to like just having to go like psycho mode. But
she went psycho mode. It kicked in, and she did it. She did the job. So she puts her in a suitcase. Ryan comes home with people that he met from the bar, but she makes a big fuss about not wanting people around because she's still cleaning up the murder scene. She's still like wiping blood off of places and trying to hide it. But because Jessica's suitcase is sitting there, which notably has her body in it, Ryan's like, oh, she's not left. I thought she was going to a hotel, and she's like, nah, she was too drunk. So she has to like sort of like hide the suitcase in the morning before he gets up. But she makes a whole song and dance of like making him breakfast and saying, I wanted to apologize for last night. I was a little bit too, temperamental, and she has a plate that's already been eaten as if Jessica was here, had breakfast and left. It's all playing the role of everything. As she's still trying to think of her way around all these details, which is fun. I mean, her plan for dealing with Ryan ultimately ends up being acting nice to him and then her plan is to roofie him when they're out having food, and then basically like makes him think they had sex. She does a whole thing where she gets him undressed on the bed when he's passed out, and she opens a condom and just throws it on the floor. But the whole idea is that, well, one, while he's roofied, she can get into his phone and use his eyeball to unlock the phone so she can delete the post. But two, so that he'll wake up feeling all guilty. And also in the meantime, we should mention that one of the fake photos she posted of Madison was of Madison and some new guy, and the comment was like, oh, the new love of my life. So everything she's doing is trying to convince Ryan to just go home. Like, no, this is fruitless. You're never going to get her back. Just leave, go home. This is over. And yeah.
And we didn't mention too, like she has like one other friend that she FaceTimed earlier in the movie, and then Ryan like contacts them as well, and then again, like similar to when he was talking like to Jessica, he's talking to this guy and being like, so like this stuff isn't adding up, right? Like this is weird. Like she wouldn't if she had a new guy, she would have told you, right? Like, yeah,
she kind of has like a gay best friend, Madison, who she calls early on in the movie, and it's actually after he leaves though. It's after he thinks he's had sex with her. He calls him from whatever hotel room he's in, and he's like, "Hey, if you actually like been on a call with her, have you spoken to her in like a video call in the last like 3 weeks?" And he's like, no, I don't think so, just texting or whatever. So he starts to piece together that something's not adding up, and that's when he starts looking at the photograph. Because he has a flashback of like when he met her, and then that kind of motivates him to like digging. So like if the movie wanted us to like actually start to want to root for him, I don't know if it was successful, because I was still just thinking, oh, how's CW going to get out of this? How's she going to like fight her way away from him or whatever?
I do want to see him have a confrontation with CW, but yeah, I am rooting more for her in that situation. So yeah, even when they do that flashback, like, yeah, he's still like being like so douchey and like telling her like, like he wins like this big bear at like some carnival or something, and like all he can talk about is like, oh, like you should post a pic about like with that, and like if you get like the right hashtags and stuff, you can go viral. I can help you with that. And it's like, come on, man. Like, you gotta think about something else.
He honestly sounds like a scam artist when he's saying that. I mean, technically, it was all true, because he did seem to help her with all those things, but it sounds like a scam when he was saying it. He also goes to the resort she was staying at, and he runs into the older British guy that saw her.
Right, yeah.
And says, hey, have you seen her? And basically he finds out that, like, because the photograph of her and the new quote-unquote boyfriend was here, because he sort of matched the location, and he's like, oh, that couldn't have been yesterday, because it's been like rainy season for the last 3 weeks. Season. Yeah. So it's like, okay, so that makes him convinced that something's going on. And the old guy even says, oh yeah, there was a girl with a birthmark that she left with. And it's like, okay, so that's what sends him back to her. And when she got rid of him, right, when CW did convince him to leave and it looked like he was going home, she made a point of burning the wig, burning all the stuff that Madison owned. And it was like a whole big deal, but she notably kept one item, which was her diary or journal, and that's what Ryan finds when he searches her place. So when she gets home, he smacks her with the Buddha statue from earlier, the one that was fake, and she wakes up tied up, and he's like demanding answers. He wants to know where Madison is, and so on and so on. And
I like that he has a line where he say like, I've blacked out a lot of times in my life, but I've never forgotten a shag.
Yeah, I don't think we've mentioned, but he has also got a very kind of specific, like, pompous English accent. I don't know if we've mentioned that yet about Ryan, but he does. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah. At times I was like wondering, like I don't know, like, are we supposed to feel like the character is maybe playing it up a little bit, or do the people that write this, are they maybe not like authentically British? Because it feels like they were like, it kind of felt like the way I would write like a British person, where I'm just like, oh, he should probably say oi like at this point or whatever. Or,
I don't know stuff. I have no idea. I mean, the director, Kurtis David Harder, his last name's Harder. Jesus, that's a hell of a name. He directed a couple of movies that are really small before these two, because he had the sequel as well. But Yeah, I have no idea where he's from. I would assume... Oh, he's Canadian. Okay.
But, I mean, I feel like it still works with the character, even if maybe it feels a little bit off, because, he's like a guy that plays stuff up. So, like, he could be... Like, I'm sure he's still, like, British or whatever, but he is, you know, like, again, like, acting it out a bit more, just because, like, that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah, he's turning up a notch, which... You know, anyone can do from where they're from, pretty much. They can go to the extreme stereotype end if they really want to, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You ken what a boot laddie? See? It's easy.
Yeah. Bring me another burger. I don't know what Americans like.
That's you nailed it, Tim. That's America. That's very good. No, so she plays dumb for like a second, right? But not for very long. And eventually, like, she gets like really kind of like intense with it, where she's like, what do you think you have here evidence-wise? Like, what are you going to tell the police that you punched a woman in the face and then tied her up? And then also Madison has sent messages to her friends and to me about dumping you and whatnot. And he's like, but she didn't actually do that. That was yours. Like, who are they going to believe, right? Yeah. You've hit me and tied me up. Like, this does not look good for you. Like, she's trying to, you know, again, she's working the situation as best she can. But she eventually says, like, I didn't kill her, but I can take you to her, right? And, you know, that leads her to the docks where the boat is, because, and I thought she was going to take him to the island before she tried anything. She actually just immediately tries something right there and then by pushing him in the water, and then strangles him with like whatever's tying her hands together.
Like she jumps into the water too, and then basically like slips her legs through her arms, and then uses the like rope or whatever she's tied with to strangle him. And this is all I mean, I mentioned it before, but like, you know, I think this movie looks fantastic, and this was like a great scene. Like, it's all underwater at night, and it, you know, feels very like dreamy and floaty, and it looks really cool.
Yeah, obviously it's a bit weird to say that this is a good movie to kind of show off a country, because like, hey, come to our country and get murdered. But it does actually, you know, feel like a cool little showpiece for Thailand. Both, like, you get the city for a little bit of Bangkok, and then you get a lot of these sort of resorty and islandy places kind of other parts of the movie. So
yeah. And then I mean, complained about it a million times before, but you know, there's just so many movies that just like have this horrible, you know, like shot on green screen or digital look to them, or, you know, it's clearly like, you know, supposed to be like one place, and then it's just shot in like one of like the 2 or 3 places that it's it's cheap to shoot at or whatever. So I don't know, it's always refreshing to see like a movie that's like, oh, like you actually went to the place and it looks good, you know?
Yeah. So she kills him, puts his body on the boat along with the suitcase with Jessica's body. Doesn't go to the island quite yet though. She goes home to like basically finish the cover story of like saying he was abusive to Madison, as Madison, and then she sees all the posts coming in saying, "Oh, I always knew it," and even the friend that Madison had from earlier. You even see her watching a video of him saying, "Oh, I always knew Madison. I always knew there was something wrong about him." So they're all backing it up. They're just eating it up like nothing.
Yeah. And that was really great, too, because the last scene with him when he was talking to Ryan, I forget what he says, but he said something along the lines of, like, well, you know, I'm, like, closer with you than I am with her. Or, like, you know, you're more my friend or whatever. So it's like, yeah, this is clearly, like, him just trying to milk the situation, even though he clearly, you know, didn't feel that way.
I think he also said to him in that call, "Oh, you can do much better than Madison." And then
yeah.
Like a day later, it's like, "Oh, Madison, I always knew he was bad news. Oh, my heart's with you, girl." Blah blah blah. So it's like all that stuff is good, and she goes out to the island, and I was expecting, look, the more interesting thing to do here is that somehow she has survived. That she's found something to eat, she's found something to drink, and she's still kicking, and we see the signs of her life. We see that she's been keeping tally marks of how many days she's been here. The fire's still burning, and so you know, CW goes looking for her. Now, admittedly, if I'm going to critique any choices that anyone makes in this movie, I might have just went straight back to the boat and like, I'll come back in a week.
Yeah. like maybe the one thing I might give to her is she feels like such a like cool, precise person. But it seems like so many things about the whole Jessica and Ryan thing like kept getting her in her way, and that like it felt like she was unraveling a little bit. So like, was she's still very capable? Like maybe she's just a little bit more exhausted and thrown off her edge than usual. So it just gives Madison this slight little opportunity.
Yeah, spiraling, one might say.
Yeah.
But yeah, she goes to try and find her. She finds these like little crosses that Madison seems to have made. Which I guess kind of implied that they were graves. Maybe Madison found like previous victims who didn't survive or something. I don't know if that's what they were getting
that
at.
makes sense.
Yeah. But she sneaks up and hits her and knocks her out and effectively just goes to the boat and leaves. She does notice the dead body in the boat, but she leaves. So the movie ends with CW waking up just in enough time to see the boat like driving out into the ocean. And I thought it was interesting that she laughed at this. She didn't look worried. She sort of laughed like, "What, bitch, I know how to survive in this island. Like I grew up going out to these islands. I know exactly what I'm doing here."
Yeah.
And given that I know she's in the sequel, I suspect she'll be okay. She'll find her way off the island. Because that was actually one of the other things that I thought might happen. See, when they went back to the house in the middle before Ryan showed up, I was thinking, oh, somehow she survived and got off the island and she's back to like stalk CW for revenge. Like I thought that might be where it was going at that point. And very quickly it wasn't. It was Ryan and all that stuff. But it wouldn't, like, I don't know if Madison's in the next one, but it wouldn't shock me if like CW goes stalking her and hunting her like as soon as she gets off the island. But I mean, I don't know. We'll find out. But
obviously I won't say anything, but I'll just leave it at that. I'm excited to rewatch the next one again and again to talk about it. Like I think this one is good and interesting, but I think there's a lot of interesting stuff in the next one to talk about. So I'm looking forward to it.
The fact that you seem to be more enthusiastic about the second one when I thought this was a bit of a nice surprise is encouraging. So we shall see. We shall see. I mean, a pleasant surprise, I guess, is the best way to... I mean, don't get me wrong. The fact that you wanted to do this so we could do the second one did imply that you thought it was good. So I guess I kind of had a little bit of hope based on that. But, like, I didn't really have any expectations other than that. So it was just kind of like, okay, what is this? And then, like we've said a million times at this point, the opening 20 minutes are fine. But I'm like, okay, I'm not... What's the rub here? And then it becomes what it becomes. CW becomes the main character, and it's about her scheming and planning and like manipulating and like thinking on her feet when something doesn't go to plan, and all that stuff was super riveting. And when she does snap and actually does start killing people, it's like, yeah, this is fun, and I'm looking forward to more of her adventures and the next one. And I wonder, don't tell me obviously because you've seen the second one, but given the title's influencers, and we already had multiple regular influencers in this movie because we had Madison, then Jessica, and you could argue maybe Ryan as well to an extent. I wonder if there's a second influencer predator in the next one. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but I'm just throwing a wild guess out there based on the title. And actually, at one point, Madison, when she was telling her little like horror story at the beach about, oh, you could have brought me out to kill me here, she says, oh, where no one can hear you scream. And I was like, oh, I'm about to make another Alien reference, and it's just funny she said that line. But yeah, so obviously, yes, Will and Jutani will be involved in the next one. They'll be funding Instagram or whatever's going on. But yeah, good time. Good time.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it because I thought you would like it, but I mean, you never know. And then, that would suck if you came on here and you're like, well, this is awful, and I'm like, oh, you don't like this. I don't know about the sequel, but I'm glad that is one we're able to go back and do. Because I feel like it's definitely worth it. And then, like I said before, I don't know if it's one that it seems like people like it, but again, maybe. Not a ton of people have seen it, so hopefully, I don't know if anyone is finding this review and hasn't watched it yet. I would very heartily give it a recommendation. If you have Shudder, it's on there, so it's easy to watch. But yeah, so Thumbs up.
All right, Tim, what are you giving Influencer out of 10?
I'm going to give it a 7.5. I think it's really good, very solid. Again, it was, when I first watched it, I thought I was like, oh, this is a nice surprise. I wasn't expecting much, but it's something that, kept me on my toes and everything. I think it looks great, and there's just a lot of confidence in the, performances and the directing. Actually, I'll probably go bump it up a little bit. I guess maybe just do a solid 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, it's second time watching it, I still think it's pretty fun and watchable. And I like it. I think it's good.
Yeah, I think. I think I'm going to go with what you originally said. I'm going to say 7.5. I think it's. I think I just shy of being great, but I'm very, very pleased with it, and I think it was good, and I am excited to see the sequel. And I think especially it was a great main character, and I enjoyed watching her story. So I'm happy to dip into the next one. So yes.
Yeah, maybe I'll bump back down to 7.5.
Oh, Jesus,
that does seem a bit more right.
All right, there you go. 7.5s all around. Very good.
It is really good, though. Yeah, I part of it is I'm getting a little hyped to talk about the second one, but I want to temper my expectations a little bit. But I said it before, but if people haven't checked this out, I would highly recommend it. I think it's worth a watch.
All right, so join us next week, obviously, then for the sequel for Influencers. We'll be doing that next week on Screams After Midnight. Of course, you can support us, though, and get even more stuff from us by going to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. Thanks to everyone who already does. It really does keep everything coming, which is the main purpose of it, is to support Screams and all the other Mail Fuzz movie shows. But you do get some bonus stuff. You get even more streams most weeks, where we'll do a little segment where we do make a top 5, or we'll talk about something that's in the movie news, or maybe there'll be some horror trailers to talk about or something. It can be anything we feel like, basically. But you get that most weeks, and every month or so you'll get a bonus episode as well. The last one we did was a movie called The Visitor, which was a weird movie from 1979 we had fun talking about. So we try to do the weird, obscure movies in the bonus episodes. Yes, Tim?
Yeah. So if anyone's listened to that, I have a confession to make, because when we watched it and I had said that was my first time watching it, and then after we talked about it, I went to log it in on Letterboxd and I saw it already viewed, so I was like, oh, I guess I watched it at some point before. I'm guessing it must have been a while ago, and maybe is something I was half paying attention to, or there was something about it, because it's obviously not a forgettable movie, but there must have been some weird timing thing with it that I didn't remember it. But I was shocked when I went to Letterboxd. I guess I saw this.
Well, at least you remember it now, because you've watched it properly, you've paid attention, and the craziness will maintain. But go check out Patreon for that stuff, or YouTube membership as an alternative if that's more convenient. But that is the show, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We do appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, and we will see you next time.